If you have ever heard the term, your MSP services are too expensive or I can't afford to hire an MSP company, this is the video for you. I am covering every single way to handle that objection. That way you can present to the customer factual reasons as to why it is more cost effective, as you probably already know, for them to hire you instead of doing whatever option that they are going to do. It is probably the most thorough video, and on top of that, your most common objection. My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. We help MSPs with sales training and marketing. Before I get into today's video, as always, I have to mention two quick things. Number one, there's always that masterclass down below, along with a bunch of super helpful links. That way you can go check out other areas that might benefit you as well. And number two, come hang out in the Discord. We are well past 200 people and continuing to grow, at least 200 at the time of this recording. If you're watching this in a long time in the future, it's going to be a crazy thriving community because it is already my most active Discord I've ever been in. So let's talk about cost effectiveness for a business, because we know what we're providing is almost certainly cost effective. But the hard part is getting a business that either already has an MSP that is either undercharging or might not even have an MSP to realize that having you is probably the best option for you. So let's talk about right off the bat, a direct cost savings. What a lot of people don't realize is an in-house person, especially if you've never ran a business before, an in-house person costs their salary. A halfway decent, let's say, IT person in-house is going to be anywhere between $50,000 and as high as $200,000 a year. That's a pretty big range. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it's $100,000 to have a fairly qualified person who has all the certs and all of that involved in a business. That's about $50 an hour, breaks down pretty darn close. And $100,000 a year is about $8,000-ish a month. That's a pretty hefty price tag. Now, something you have to consider and think about when you're talking to this person is, yes, you have this employee who's making $100,000. Keep in mind that insurance, taxes, them going away, all adds into their total comp. So realistically, while they might be getting $100,000, it might be $110,000, $120,000, maybe even $130,000. That's number one as far as cost savings. So having you is probably already cheaper unless you're getting an $8,000 a month contract, in which case you're awesome because that's amazing. Secondly, you should probably take a second to hit that like button and maybe leave a comment about what you think about this video at some point. But in all reality, not only do you have to think about that, you have to think about how often and how much money trainings actually cost. Because just because you have an employee, they need to be trained on a fairly regular basis. There's always new technology coming out. Additionally, hardware. Are they buying from a consumer grade area? Are they buying from Amazon? Are they buying from CDW? Are they buying from a wholesaler? When they work with you, you probably have the ability to leverage a vendor, Ingram Micro, Carbon Systems, both really good places to get computers, and you can usually get them for much cheaper than what Amazon usually offers. And if you're not right off the bat, don't worry, the more you spend, the better the deals get. But additionally, software. On top of having that IT person in-house, they're going to need some kind of software because they are still running a help desk. That means they need to have some kind of RMM and some kind of PSA tool. They don't necessarily need a CRM, customer relationship manager, but they're going to need a PSA, professional services automation, or RMM, remote monitoring and management tool. Those also cost money. So you have that salary of that employee plus all of the other stuff. How much are you really thinking about now? Now that number might have gone from maybe 100 to 120, 130 to 140, maybe even $150,000 per year. That's pretty darn expensive. Now we're getting to the $1,000 or the $10,000 plus per month, where your MSP is probably coming in cheaper than that. If you're more expensive, great. And I hope you're closing gigantic deals. So right off the bat, there is a massive, massive cost savings directly. You can count that money and see how it would affect that business. Number two, downtime. We don't quantify downtime well enough because it's not something that we deal with all the time, but when it's down, it's down hard. That is something we don't take into consideration all too often. As a MSP, you are consistently working to be proactive, whereas a business, on the other hand, even if they have a good IT guy, he's probably tied up with working on this poor bookshelf. Always becomes a printer in my eyes, but the printer, they might be working on something else, and then they forget about being proactive, or they don't have the time to be proactive, which then the system goes down. They have to go through and they have to scramble, and who knows if they have the technological ability to get them right back up. It might take a little bit longer than having an entire team there. Downtime is a serious, serious problem. They might not even have the software to detect what's going on with the system, and that's a whole other problem right there. But being able to reduce downtime because a MSP is proactively doing things, it reduces the chances of downtime pretty dramatically. But if they have an in-house person, their downtime, what if something happens on a Monday when they just left on a plane to go to Italy for their honeymoon, and they're gone for a week or two with no technology access? That business is essentially screwed. That's a whole week of downtime because somebody left the country to go enjoy something that they are absolutely entitled to go enjoy. Massive, massive downtime right off the bat. Next is going to be, I've already kind of touched on it, but access to expertise and specialization. As an MSP, you're constantly touching and dealing with all new environments, and your team, by just doing that, is consistently increasing their ability, their experience, their knowledge over and over and over again, which helps tremendously because the more you have experience with, the better off you're going to be. The problem is when you have an in-house person, if you're not spending tons of money keeping them up to date and investing in technology so they can learn it like the back of their hand, the knowledge gap is pretty differential, or there's a lot of differential there because you have a whole team, multiple people getting better, even if it's just you when you're starting out, but you're constantly working on new environments. Whereas the guy that's been there for a long time, it's kind of probably pretty stagnant. He might know everything there is to know about that business, but when something goes wrong, or they want to get a new piece of technology, or that person sees a new piece of technology and knows that that new piece of technology would drastically help their business, but they don't recommend it because they don't have the experience or the ability to handle that, there's a massive difference there in knowledge, which equates to money because you're paying for a ton more knowledge, usually at a much cheaper price than you have somebody in-house. Now, we've covered knowledge. What about scalability? If this company is growing like a weed and this person only has a limited subset of knowledge for it, how likely are they able to be to scale? It's probably pretty challenging. And as new employees come on, while this person might be able to handle it, the systems that they're using might be changing on a regular basis, or the business is getting more and more involved in technology. This person's probably going to go crazy. But here's the catch. If they want to hire somebody else, even a more junior person, it could be $65,000 to $75,000, even $85,000 a year, plus all the other stuff, your bonuses, your time off, and all of that. It could be fairly expensive. But with an MSP, we just add another seat because we already have the team and we're consistently growing as our clients grow. And we're adding on that knowledge. And that person that the MSP hires is going to be surrounded by super smart people that probably already have experience in that environment. So they can pass and they can have a solid knowledge transfer. This is super, super important. Next, on top of all of that, what about your security and your compliance? One person still doing all of the things that we were just talking about versus a whole team checking compliance, making sure the updates are there, making sure everything's patched, making sure that there's threat hunting currently going on in case there is something that ends up happening. There is a massive difference in that because if a ransomware attack happens while this person's away in Italy on their honeymoon, well, then what? He might have thought he did everything, but he doesn't have a team of people to address it right away. That's where your MSP really comes into play, really to shine. You have multiple people that are all helping that environment. And a lot of times too, just as you're probably aware, your whole team isn't going to be working on every single thing that your client is doing. So there is just another massive gap there. And then let's picture long-term. You have IT planning and you have long-term savings. IT planning, what's going on? Once again, the person that's hired in-house, well, they're good, they're costing a lot of money, and they might not have the experience with a massively growing infrastructure, or 3, 5, 10 years from now, they might be ready to exit. And then who does that company go to? Hopefully the MSP, but that's really where it comes, because now that person's going to leave, they've hit the peak of that business and learned as much as they can. Well, then what? Now you have this serious cost of hiring another person making $100,000 a year. You have to not only train them with that other person, you have to roll out everything. There's going to be a ramp up period of 2 or 3 months. So that means for 2 or 3 months, you might be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in the hole per person. That could be $40,000, $50,000. Whereas at MSP, they're always looking towards that. They're going to build out a project and help you, or you were going to build out a project and help that customer consistently grow over time. So there's the massive, massive difference. So when somebody says an MSP is way too expensive, well, what do you mean it's too expensive? There's a direct cost savings. You're going to have reduced downtime, which increases profitability. You're going to have access to expertise and people that can probably automate the business a good bit to help it grow even faster. You're going to be able to scale, which doesn't cost you any more money other than the users that you hire, instead of having those people, the long-term planning, the security, the compliance, all of those things weigh into that price. So when somebody looks at it, well, look, on Friday night, you're going to go to bed at night knowing that Monday morning, everyone's going to be able to work again, because our team works around the clock, and your guy, when he's off the clock, he's off the clock. This is where those savings start to add in. And if you can quantify that to show that to a target customer, things are going to start to move in the right direction. Just like your eyes going down to the like button and hitting that. It's the same thing. Shameless plug. I always appreciate you guys. I hope that you can combat your MSP services are too expensive. This video covers all of it. If I missed something, please, please, please let me know down below. And if there's another objection that you're constantly getting, I'd love to hear about it down below, because I can either answer it, I'll make a video to address it for you. My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. Feel free to reach out to us if you're an MSP. We'd love to help you guys. Other than that, I appreciate you guys for checking out this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Love you guys.